So I was just sitting here doing my homework after school, like a responsible citizen, and doing the answers for you guys for tomorrow so that we can have the answers ready to go, because I was hoping I wouldn't have to sit there and go through all of them. And I noticed, well, 21, we already all knew the answer. 26 was pretty straightforward. Hopefully you can handle it. 34 was very similar to ones we've already done, so hopefully you can handle that. But then I got to 48, and I tried doing that, and I was like, holy smokes, that one's going to mess them up. So I guess I'll give you a quick hint on 34. It was about the rancher and the fence. If it's messing you up because it's talking about the dollars, and we've never done dollars, so I guess I'll just do quick. It's going to be a rectangle. East and west cost $12 a yard, and then north and south is $8 a yard. So your equation then would be one of them. I'm only going to give you one. I'm not going to give you the other one. It's just going to be, we'll call this is the x direction, this is the y direction, or you could do length and width, or you could do whatever you wanted, but I just did x and y. So if you do $12 times them x would be the number of yards, this dimension, plus $8 for every yard in the y direction, should equal, what was it, 4,800, I think? So that's one of your equations. That's not the one you're going to try to maximize or minimize. That has to do with area. And so hopefully you can figure out what that is and then go from there. But so there you go on that one. 48, though, I was just like, that's just going to frustrate people. So hopefully you're subscribed and you get a notification that I posted this video so you can check it out so that you get some help here. The orange trees, this took me a while to figure out. There might be an easier way to do this. I don't know. Here's how I figured it out. So, let's see. You know when you plant 100 trees, you get 240 oranges per tree. So, I did 240. Well, I started out like this. I was like 240T. Number of trees times 240 tells you how many oranges you have. That's only if you plant 100 trees. But then when you go over 100 trees, it says the yield per tree decreases by 20 oranges for each additional tree planted. So that means, if you plant 101 trees, each tree is only going to give you 220 oranges. So I was like, well, that's hard to write a rule for. So the way I did it was just to I did a calculation. I was like, what happens if I plant 110 trees? And then I calculated how many oranges I would get. And then I looked through my calculations in order to write the equation. So the way you do that, you're like, hey, if I plant 110 trees, well, I know that 110 is 10 over this, right? It said for each additional tree you plant, your yield drops by 20, right? So there and there. So if I plant 110 trees, that's 10 over, and so my yield is going to drop, multiply that by negative 20, so it's going to drop by 200. So I'm actually going to end up only getting 40 oranges per tree. Well, so then you can use that to figure out what your equation would be. The way you do that is you go, well, the number of trees I plant, if I take that and subtract 100, and then multiply that number, what I get, by negative 20. So negative 20 times that will tell me how many I'm going to subtract from 240, right? Because then I did 240 minus that. And then I multiply that by the number of trees I planted to get how many oranges I have. So I did that really fast, but that's kind of how you build it. Do a sample calculation and then figure out what you did actually in your calculation to build your equation. So I took number of trees I planted minus 100, got my answer. That's right here. Multiplied by negative 20. It's right here. Took that number and did 240 minus that. So that's 240 minus that whole thing. And then I multiply that by the number of trees I planted, and that'll tell me how many oranges I get. So that's that. So now, go ahead and simplify that, and then you can figure out the answer. That sounded way better in my head before I explained it. And I can do it again tomorrow. No big deal, but there you go. I haven't even looked at 49 yet, so I might as well go live right now and do that. Let's see. Appliance firm is marketing a new refrigerator. Oh, this one's, yeah, I did read it actually earlier, I remember now. It determines in order to sell X refrigerators. So it's good to make a little note. X is refrigerators sold. Okay. Price per refrigerator is this. Okay. Don't worry about the P equals D of X equals. That's just saying the price per refrigerator. They're calling that D of X, and that's what it equals. So if you want to sell 100 refrigerators, you make the price per refrigerator 100 times 0.4 and then subtract that from 280. So the more refrigerators you want to sell, the lower the price. Makes sense. Okay. You also find out that the total of cost of producing X refrigerators is given by this. So also, the more refrigerators you sell, the cheaper it is to produce them. The more you make, the cheaper it is generally, because you get good at it, you get faster at it, you get materials for cheaper, blah, blah, blah. So we have two different functions here. And then I was like, I don't think they'll figure this out. It says, how many refrigerators must you produce and sell in order to maximize profit? You're like, well, what the hell? I don't even have a profit equation. Well, that's okay. Look at cost is right here. The price per refrigerator is right here. Well, if you know the price you're selling them for, and you know how much it costs to produce them, can't you figure out how much you're going to make? So there's price per refrigerator. There's how much it costs to produce them. So you should be able to figure out profit. I'm trying to decide if I should continue or just leave you there. Okay, I decided you might need more help after I thought through it. Profit. Profit is dollar amount sold minus dollar amount profit. Let's see, equals the money you make or the amount you sell minus cost, right? And we want to maximize profit. Okay, well, the money we make, how do we know that? Well, you come over here and you're like, well, this is the price per refrigerator, right? So the amount you make, isn't that, so let's say each refrigerator costs $100. Wouldn't you then just take $100 times the number of refrigerators you sold, and that tells you how much you made? Not profit, but that's just how much you brought in. So here's the price per refrigerator. 280 minus 280 minus 0.4x. And if I take that and multiply by how many refrigerators I sell, that should tell me the amount of money I brought in. Then you have to subtract the cost. Well, cost is already given right here. So we subtract the 5,000 minus 5. I keep doing that. 5,000 minus 0.6x squared. And there's your profit equation. So it's 280 minus 0.4x times x minus 5,000 minus 0.6x squared. And then you can go ahead and answer the number of refrigerators you actually need to sell. So you'll try to figure out what x is to maximize that. Maximum profit, plug it back in, get the max profit, and then you should be able to figure out the rest if you can get that far. And that's all I have to say about that. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully you see this. Don't be too depressed. This is hard. Okay, bye. Okay, so a little update. I decided you needed more help, and I started making another video to show you how to do this problem. And then I realized that there's a problem with the problem. I was like, okay, yeah, the more refrigerators you sell, the cost goes down. But that's true and false at the same time. The more you make, yeah, the cost per refrigerator to make them goes down, but the total cost to make them has to go up. There's no way you're going to make 1,000 refrigerators and that's going to be cheaper than making 100 refrigerators. It's going to cost you, because there's more stuff. It's going to be way more expensive to make 1,000 refrigerators than it is to make 100. However, it'll be cheaper per refrigerator to make 1,000 than 100, but the total cost itself will go up. So I've noticed when I was doing this problem, I was like, well, that can't be true then, because there's no way that I could plug in a number for x here, and the higher number I make for x, the lower my total cost. That doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense when I got down to the fact that basically I got down to max profit, and I need to make negative refrigerators. And I could show you why tomorrow, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's like saying, oh, okay, I'm going to make 100 refrigerators. How much is it going to cost me? Well, it's going to cost me 5,000 minus 0.6 times, I'm going to make 100 refrigerators, or I'm going to sell 100 refrigerators, so 0.6, there we go, squared. And I'm going to get a negative number. My cost is going to be negative. So it's going to, like, I'm going to make money by making, no, that doesn't make sense. That's stupid. So I think what we'll do is just turn that into a plus sign, because it has to be. That way, the more refrigerators you make, the more it costs you. And the answer for this one isn't in the book, so there's no way I'm wrong, though, because I know math. But let's just make, or we could just throw this question out. Yeah, that would make more sense. But why would it be squared? I mean, yeah, don't do this one. Here's what happened. It was like, to get profit, you need to take the amount of money you bring in, or, that's sell, that didn't make sense. The amount of money you bring in minus your cost, right? That's what profit is. Well, the amount of money you bring in was price per refrigerator multiplied by the number of refrigerators you sell. So if like each refrigerator is $100, you multiply by however many refrigerators you sell, that's how much money you bring in. So here was the price per refrigerator multiplied by the number of refrigerators you sell. And then you got to subtract your cost. Well, if you subtract that cost and then you simplify this, you end up with a positive x squared, which would be a parabola like this. So the max profit, well, there is no max profit. There's a minimum, and I guess I found the minimum. So it'd be like max profit. Yeah, I really just think that needs to be a plus sign. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and just make that a plus sign. Screw it. Don't do this problem.